And we have a very awesome opportunity tonight to speak with psychic medium, and I know you don't like that term, Bobby Marquesso. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello. I don't mind the term. just to
You
just to
know,
be clear, it's just whole titles and everything, But yeah, I mean, it kind of describes what a person does, doesn't it?
yeah, it kind of does.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Anita, you were going to start by asking
What?
Bobby.
That was an
I,
awkward little moment, wasn't it?
no, I was a segue into the next moment.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I sent Anita the link to your biography on
Okay.
your website.
Yeah.
And she says, well, this tells us all the things that didn't happen to Bobby. So she was going to ask you, what exactly did it feel like not to get struck by lightning?
Oh, it was peaceful, yeah. And, and the not being in a major car accident, also calm
Yeah.
and peaceful. Yeah.
And no traumatic head injuries.
No traumatic injuries and
Was it traumatic not being raised by wolves? I mean, how were you raised?
I missed that. I somehow wish I had a wolf family. Yeah. So.
But really, we are very glad to have you. Now, you want to kind of give us an insight into when you first realized you had this ability?
Yeah, I think it's what I found is that a lot of people growing up tend to have ideas that they are seeing the world maybe a little differently or feel things that other people aren't feeling. We just don't question them or look at them as much until we grow older. And for me, that's kind of the way it was. As soon as I started getting a little bit older, I started looking back at my life and realizing that maybe some of the things that I was doing could rate as psychic. Back then, it was just kind of being very sensitive to a lot of things. And then kind of playing around, knowing when the phone was going to ring or knowing if my aunt was going to come to the house or just things like that. So when it really full on hit, I've been actually doing a lot of self-study, spiritual growth, that type of thing for close to 25 years now. And so I think it really just set me up to do what it is that I'm doing now in a much clearer fashion, much more free and kind of open way. So it wasn't actually later in life until John Edward came on television, then all the pieces really started falling into place. And that's when I realized to do something with the feelings that I was having.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's
Is it that exciting? I didn't. I thought it was a rather boring story, but thanks.
No, actually, it was cool. It was wow. We don't all get to, have the same feelings, and we don't all recognize any gifts that and all gifts that we might have. So
I think they're obscure for a lot of people. If you really take a look down inside, I think, like I say, we all have these moments where we just get feelings about people. That's probably the first thing that comes up because we're, socially interacting with people every day. And if you're in a coffee line or just, talk to somebody, coworkers, I think that you get a certain feeling about somebody, whether that feeling's good or whether that feeling is bad. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. There's a lot of, and then you get feelings for more situations in your life, of just about situations or events, things that take place that you get an either good feeling or a bad feeling or a nervous feeling, any of those types of things. I think that we just couldn't identify it necessarily back in my generation anyway. I think growing up now, it's a lot easier because we have parents who are more open to that for the most part.
Yeah, it can be tough when you're told a lot that it's just your imagination.
That's
I think that when you tell kids that all the time, it kind of can dampen things that are there.
Yeah, they either shove it back going, okay, it is just my imagination. They don't take it as being real. And when they grow up, of course, we're told to just dismiss those playhood things, those childhood things. And then you're right, then we just suppress it. And then it's my experience that in working with people later in life, they always come back, and that's where we have the feeling of being lost or something that's right, or so I can't seem to get going, I can't seem to get motivated. It just, something seems to be holding us back. And for the most part, that's it, because we've pinched ourselves off from that source, if you will. And I think that's why we feel a lot of the things that we feel today,
Right.
exactly. And if anybody wants to call in and get a reading from Bobby, you can call in at 310-928-7857. Again, that's 310-928-7857. Call now. It's your chance. So, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Anita.
I was wondering how does this work for you, Bobby? I know some people hear things, some people see things. Is it kind of a combination for you, or?
It is a combination, yeah. I knew that. I'm a big advocate for, if you're going to start out doing this, I literally set out my intention of what it is that I wanted to accomplish, and that's what I have accomplished. In other words, some people just, I guess it kind of just thrust upon some people. Like you say, some people just accept the vision, or if they just have the hearing part of it, or just feelings, they just kind of go with that. That's their strength. But I knew that if I was going to do this, I wanted to be able to access information in all different kinds of ways. And so I can see, hear, and feel energies, whether it be loved ones from the other side, but also as I'm working with a client on a one-on-one type basis, it really helps me kind of get in and see some of the blockages that might be there, like we were talking about earlier, why you're so nervous or why you feel lost, and then more importantly, how to get unlost or unstuck. Sometimes I hear a lot of psychics just say, so this is the kind of person you are, here's where you're born, you have a tendency to do these types of things, and there you go, thanks, that'll be $200. And there's never really a, well, here's how to take care of it. Here's how to never have to come see me again. Here's how to never have to call a psychic again. And that's what I really try to instill when I'm working with people. But as far as the hearing, seeing, and feeling, it's all sixth sense wise. In other words, when I see something, it's inside my head. It's like my imagination. I'll see images, pictures, right. And then feelings. That's self-explanatory. And then the hearing is, if I were to say the song Brown Eyed Girl, you can kind of hear the music in your head. That's how I hear them speaking. But I hear their voice, like their actual fluctuations in their voice and the tone and that type of thing. So, but again, it's all inside my head. Once I have heard things audibly with my human ears before on some investigations, and that's kind of cool when that happens, because everything else is just in your head, but it's nice when you when you can see something for real.
Right.
Now, I wanted to ask you, Bobby, about spiritual coffee.
Okay.
And well, let everybody know when that is and what it's about and what they can look forward to if they want to tune in.
So Spiritual Coffee is my radio show, and I've done it a little over 5 years now. I used to be in radio, and then I had my own morning television show on NBC. And after I left NBC and started doing this full time, I was also doing a radio show. It's on Achieve Radio, and it's much like kind of like a setup like this. People can call in, you can listen, you can download the archives, and basically it's people also who call in, and we have a chance to work one-on-one with each other, asking questions. I guess you could term it that they're getting readings, but like I say, I don't spend a lot of time. I used to. You try to answer as many phone calls as you can. And this is actually more quality time. I think it's more beneficial when you can talk it out with somebody and spend 15, 20 minutes talking with someone rather than just trying to get through as many people as possible. So it's kind of a talk format, but it also, again, provides more tools for how not to have to call into the show or not have to go seek help elsewhere. It just is a combination of all the different things that I've learned in my spiritual studies through 25 years. I always tell everybody that, I'm not an expert necessarily on all things. It's just, this is kind of a combination of how I've lived my life, what I've come to see, what I've come to work with clients, the things I've had access to, the source, angels, guides. Anybody can have access to that. It doesn't make me a genius. I can just tune into the other side and get the answers that are needed. So if they call into the show, that's kind of what you get, some ways to not be so stuck and answers to some questions. And if you have somebody on the other side, which I know can be incredibly healing, to be in touch with someone who you've lost, then I can also do that as well.
Awesome. And why isn't your show over here on Jackalope Radio?
I don't know. I mean, with
We actually have one of the Achieve radio shows. Open Your Intuitive Eyes is one of our shows also.
with Sherry Devereaux.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know Sherry. I haven't talked to her in a long time, but yeah, she's been on my show and vice versa when she first started doing radio. But that's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. We should chat.
We should chat.
Exactly.
Okay. Wow, Kathy.
How
you
was
do
that for a setup?
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty good, wasn't it? But now you've done some work with Conversations with a Serial Killer. That sounds really interesting. That was only in the UK, right?
It's UK and the whole rest of the world, really. Australia, Germany. I got a fan letter the other day from Africa because it was showing over there. So it's shown just about everywhere else except the US right now. I think that they're still trying to get it on some of the US channels, and I think there's still hope for that. But yeah, we did one season, 8 episodes, and it premiered on the UK Sky One, which is like our NBC, or they also have Living Television, which is like a CBS, one of their 2 main channels over there. So yeah, it premiered over there a couple of different times, and yeah, we toured the country, and it was basically a setup kind of like a documentary paranormal, where we go to the place. Let's say Ted Bundy, he was one of the ones that we had done, where he grew up, where he went to school, where he kidnapped some of his victims, what happened, what was his state of mind. That's where I came in to figure out what the heck was he thinking when he did this, when did it go wrong, when did he start thinking he wanted to do this to other people, and ultimately have a conversation with him on the other side to find out if he was even sorry. Now, that most people, when they cross over, are usually remorseful and sorry, and they found the light, and a lot of the human burdens are gone. And so it was up to us to find out if that was also the case for these serial killers, or were they just too far, gone, and like I say, were they even sorry for what they had done? But yeah,
what is that like to get into the thoughts of
probably about as bad as you can imagine. I mean,
wouldn't want to be there.
Pretty. Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy.
Oh my.
Jeffrey Dahmer. The real more known serial killers that were here. And I think the worst place I ended up was Jeffrey Dahmer's crawl space, where he had, he'd put one of his victims and just did unspeakable things to them in there. And that was just a trip. I mean, it takes a lot of, you really have to work with the emotions and feelings. Not only if you do this for a living and you're in the helping profession, nurses, if you're working in the ER, anybody who works with, I've done some workshops for Department of Social Services. Anybody who's in those types of helping professions, you really have to learn to let go of some of the emotions and feelings, because if you don't, your lifespan in those particular careers would only last about 5 years, because it just gets be too much. It just drags you down. So you really just have to especially being psychic or intuitive or whatever label that you want to use, you're picking up a bunch of muck from people. And working with clients all day, you have to be able to let that go and let it pass through you more and more, so that you're there for the next person. And that's one of the things that I like to teach about is helping people to let go of all that stuff, so that they can be there in a more clear and free way. Because if you're trapped in the muck, your clients are going to be as well, aren't they? You can't help somebody be well if you're not in wellness yourself.
But at some point, it has to be quite the burden for you to carry around. You know what I mean? To hear all these issues and problems and things like that, and try to help guide these people. At what point does there become side effects for you?
I don't know. I think when you continue, I'm still on my journey and will be until I cross. And I think more and more things are let go of. There are some things that still trigger me about certain people that, want guidance and want help, but they want you to do magic for them, in a sense. And that can trigger me a little bit. I'm not a performing monkey. I realized that I have this ability and I can help people, but I don't have to I just had realized, it was many years ago, that I had just realized that people have different opinions about what I can do. Some people are going to believe it, some people aren't. Then there's those people who want you to prove to me you can do what you say. And I just realized that those opinions weren't necessary for me to do what I do. In other words, when I'm working with a client and helping them to become unstuck and help to find that source again and passion, which is very easy to do and takes very little time, that it doesn't matter what a person thinks or whether you believe me or not. I don't need all of that for me just to simply do what I do. But yeah, when people challenge me or again, I still sometimes trigger over that, and I don't play into that game. I've turned down appointments before of people who, again, want that magic, because there's plenty of other people out there that will do all of that. I just don't. I think we need to sit down. You know, you lost your son to suicide. Let's just get into that. Otherwise, why spend a half hour of me trying to prove to you that I can do what I can do when that's just a waste of breath? Let's just heal. Let's just get straight to the healing and do what needs to be done. You know, so I think that's why I've kind of tried to go beyond the labels of psychic, medium, and things like that, because it's kind of an ego thing too, isn't it? Where, you know, I like to be able to tune in and do what I do. And when I was first starting out, there very much was a big part that said, hey, look what I can do. You know, people would sit in front of me, don't tell me anything, let me tell you who's around you and that. And I can do all that, but I realized, was I actually healing or was I performing for myself? You know, am I just proving that I can do what I can do to me because it feels good and I have an ego, or am I really helping somebody? And I found that the answer was kind of more just my ego. Look how special I am. You know, look, because I can bring all this information through. And so I had to do some letting go around that and again, just kind of get people to a place of pure healing rather than let me, again, put on a show type of thing. And it's funny enough that once we get into it, you know, people are reluctant unless you prove that you can do what you can do right off the bat. But as we talk or as we do the session, no matter what it is, whether it's on the phone or the radio show, the magic does come through. But people just want you to do the magic up front so they feel at ease and, okay, he can do it, and then they'll listen. But I've had people turn away help because I wouldn't play the game. You know, never mind, I'll call somebody who can. It's like, okay, go ahead. You know, there are plenty of psychics who will just give you answers and they will show off for you and do what you do. But I've always found it empty, you know, because I think that they end up calling psychics a couple of times a month. You know, they never it's like filling an empty gas tank. It lasts for a little while, but if there's always a hole in your gas tank, it's never long lasting. It's never permanent. And so I try to offer something a little bit more permanent, if that makes sense.
We have a caller here, Kathy.
Okay.
Who are we talking to here?
Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. Welcome to Parachallenge Radio.
Thank you.
I take it you're calling to talk to Bobby.
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead,
you sure
Bobby.
you don't want to talk to Kathy or Anita or Todd or anybody? They're quite pleasant. Yeah.
Except when we're not.
Except when they're not, and then, oh my God.
I don't care who I talk to, really.
Oh, sweetheart. Okay, so what would you like to talk about?
First off, I don't need to know whether my laryngitis will go away soon or not.
Okay. It's a shame that this is a talk radio, isn't it?
I know it is.
I know.
I was just wondering, what a lot of people think about nowadays. You know, with the economy and everything. What my financial situation looks like in the near future.
Well, so there's two answers, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, is that I can give you the psychic answer, but I also want to give you something a little bit more permanent than that. But I also want to, and I can't not do this either because it's a big part of it. Has your father crossed over, Sweets?
Yes.
So he comes around. He's really, really, really strong around you. In fact, somebody's got a birthday that's just getting ready to come up as well.
Yes.
Okay, so the reason why I'm telling you is because it's just so strong and so much love around you. I don't know. I think you have a little bit more going on with you than just the laryngitis, and that's why he's telling me he's around. He's like trying to help and take care of you, just kind of being around you and offering support physically because of the different physical things that are taking place with you right now. Cool, totally. So as far as economy stuff goes, oh, no, your dad's still here. Sorry. Who was he? Somebody has this a similar name as him? In other words, somebody has their middle name or their first name?
Yes.
Okay. Did you even want to talk to him, or are there questions that you have for him? He's just coming.
For my father?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I would love to talk to him.
Okay.
It's been many years since I've been able to talk to him. I just
well, that's not true because he says you just talked to him a couple of days ago. So it's not. It's just maybe that we haven't seen them in the physical, but he knows that you talk a lot to him. Especially, he likes it when it's real quiet. And this is what a lot of us do. I don't want to make this seem, again, like, oh, he's psychic and he's really picking up on this. But the time that we really talk to him is when we're getting ready to go to sleep or at night when it's quiet. He's mentioning that to me, but I also know that that's something that a lot of us do. But again, I have to pass that on to you because that's what he's telling me. So just know that he's fine. He's got a brother that's on the other side with him, or somebody who he looks at like a brother figure, that they're arm in arm, and he's just letting you know that he's up there with him, and he's just tickled. He's just so happy because his body isn't in pain any longer, and he can actually stand up straight. He's talking about, and he just feels great, and he doesn't think it's necessary that you worry about him anymore. Cool. You know, if he's sometimes we do that, don't we? You know, when it's on the other side, we still worry. Are they okay, or you know, are they getting along, or that type of thing? And he just is letting you know it's not necessary to worry anymore. That you need to worry more about yourself and what's going on. So you've been dealing with this physical stuff for about the past 3 or 4 months, yeah?
Off and on.
So I think a lot of what you're going through is also causing the economic situation inside of you. The more that we listen to the news, the more that you're looking at other things to see how the economy's going and to see if you're going to be okay, you're going to swing and wave with the public instead of just being with your own stuff, your own vibration, so that you can be okay. Don't worry about what the world's doing. You need to be okay. Now, you're also generous to a fault. So if you have kids or grandkids that are sucking you dry with money, it might be a good idea to say no, because I know it's tough for you. But listen, you're at the point of enablement with that. Okay? Because I feel a huge tug in that direction, and I'm very familiar with that tug, both personally and with the clients that I've helped to work with, and that huge tug is no good for you. It's keeping you sick, and it's not helping your financial situation out at all.
I've always helped everybody ever since I was a teenager.
And you can help, but just remember, sometimes what we think is help isn't. You know what I mean? Like that's the first place that we go, and we think that that's very helpful, but sometimes it's not. Enablement is not help. Okay. All it does is teach them that anytime they need anything, they can run to you. It's the same thing in my business that I was talking about. Psychics, there's many, many, many of us that all we do is enable people, and I think it's a crime. As long as you ask me a question, I've got the psychic answer, and there you go. And then when the next problem comes up, you need to call me and find out what the answer is. You know what I mean? And so I disagree with that. I think there's answers inside of yourselves, and I don't mind. I love coaching people in that direction, your own spiritual journey. And I'm telling you, the very first thing to do is stop paying attention to the news and what the world is doing economic-wise. You are in a good position financially, but you have to close these other doors that the finance is running out of.
Right.
You know what I mean? Grandchildren, children, other things that you may be giving your money to And the other
Yeah.
door, of course, is watching and paying attention to what's happening with the world and the
Well,
economy.
you know, I don't have a problem paying bills, but
No,
also,
you have to pay
also
bills.
can't also, you know, don't have a savings account either. But you know, just kind of.
Hey, it worked in the old days. A mattress was the bank. You know, that was good. That's just fine.
Kathy, we do have another call waiting.
So we need to
Okay.
get to another call, sweets, okay? But
Okay.
listen, you have to start taking care of yourself financially because it's all right there. You don't it's not that you have financial coming to you. You've already got it. You just have to close the doors on where it's going.
Okay, thank you, and thank you so much for telling me about my daddy.
Oh, you're you're welcome. Sure.
All
You
right,
have a great
bye.
night and get well soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And we do have another call here on Parachallenge Radio. Who are we talking to?
This me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's you.
No,
Yeah,
no,
this is
it's me.
John.
Me.
This is John. This is John.
Hi.
How you doing, Kat?
Hi, John. How are you?
Oh, I'm making it day by day.
And that's all we
Hi.
can do, right?
Hey, well, after having that heart attack last year, I'll be a year next month, and I'm doing good.
Glad to hear it, bud. Glad to hear it. Well, I'll let you talk with Bobby.
Hello.
Hi, John. How are
Actually,
you?
I was just, I'm pretty good. I was just wondering what you see or what you're thinking. I was thinking too about my dad the other day too. I never really got to know the man.
You know,
So-
actually, if you want to know what your dad was like, take a look at your own life and your feelings and how you are. You are somebody who really, I think from your core, is just one of the sweetest persons. And your dad didn't get a chance to be that way here. He had a very rough exterior and didn't let that mushy side show through a lot because there was always work to be done. I got to do this, I got to get that done, and the responsibility of family. And so,
well, he had a stroke when I was 10, and after that, the last memory I have of him is him as a total vegetable.
right.
And later on, I found out, he did want to see me, but by that time, I'm in the foster homes and everything else. And,
Sure.
but,
So what I'm offering to you is a lot of times we grow up to be just like our parents for good or for bad, depending on. I know Anita's like, damn it. So,
I know.
but as far as you go, John, if you take a look at yourself, your dad was very much like you. So by feeling into that, I think that will help connect you to your dad on the other side as well. You don't look a lot alike, but there's some features there that are the same. And
Well, I was adopted, and I did meet my birth father, and he was really a nice man, and but the one I was really talking about was my adopted father, because
I
I
understand.
never did. I look at pictures, and except for pictures, that's all I know. That he's my dad.
Sure, and I'm
there's
still gonna
nothing there.
right, but I'm still gonna stick with
Right.
there's some features that look like him because sometimes I have an adopted sister, and it's kind of uncanny how she looks like my mom at times. So, but there's still some features there that are similar, but that's not important. What I'm getting at is trying to help you connect a little bit more with him to let you know that he's not gone far, and that, like you said, you didn't get a chance to know him, and he's very much like you are. Just kind of lives life, like you said, one day at a time when you opened up the show, and I think that's pretty much it, isn't it?
That's basically all you can do now. So I was just wondering about that, but I was kind of wondering too. I'm an empath and a sensitive. I'm always feeling there's somebody around me. I just can't figure out who it is.
Well, that's your dad. The one that's mostly around you is your father, but you also have your mom's mom. So in other words, your grandmother. She is more the one that also takes care of you, did take care of you. She's the matriarch, the one who's crossed over. She's more the matriarch for you over there. now that she's crossed. But more or less, it's your dad that comes around more and is around you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's cool. Thanks.
Okay.
Well, you take care, John. Thank you so much for calling, and keep in touch. Let me know how you're doing.
I will. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. And we have another caller here, a 919 area code. You are on Parachallenge Radio. Who are we talking to?
Hi, my name is Cece.
Hi. Welcome to Parachallenge Radio. I'll let you talk with Bobby.